Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of my Brandcology podcast. My name is Scott Soroka, Principal and Chief Brand Strategist of Soroka Brand Development. Brandcology is the study of brand and its influence on customers as well as on the culture of an organization. Several years ago, I had an experience that I get reminded of often as I work with our clients on building their brands. I was in the conference room of a mortgage company in San Diego, and the reason I was there was because their senior leaders were interested in learning our approach to building brands and how we may be able to help them properly define theirs. Now, this company was stuck in a vicious and perpetual state of rebranding for quite a few years, and the reason they found themselves in this predicament was because they couldn't reach a consensus or an agreement on what the brand should be. Now, countless hours were spent thinking, planning, and second-guessing themselves, and nothing ever materialized. It was a classic case of analysis paralysis. Plus, it really didn't help that they were trying to build a brand by committee or by a committee of 12 people. So it's no wonder they were in this situation. So here I was sitting at a table with their committee, and at the beginning of the meeting, the owner of the company said something I will never forget. He said this: "Before we can define what our brand is, we must first define what a brand is." And although this makes so much sense and that I knew exactly where he was going, it was the way he said it that really struck me and stuck with me. As you know, oftentimes it's those little things you see or hear in life that really stick with you. Well, this was one of them for me. So in that spirit, I want to start off this podcast with defining what a brand is. A brand is the thoughts that come to people's minds when they hear a company name or see its logo. And it really is that simple. And the reason is because the term brand has become so ambiguous that its definition has come to rest quite comfortably in the mind of the beholder. So here's what I mean. Not too long ago, I asked 10 people individually, what comes to your mind when you hear the name BMW? Among the responses included dream car, which came up 3 times, fast, expensive, which also came up 3 times, and here's a cool one, Mercedes Evil Twin. Then there was luxury, and then their old tagline, ultimate driving machine. All right, so let's switch gears and get really personal. Let's talk about your brand. If you were to ask 10 random employees and 10 random clients what comes to mind when they hear your company name, I think it would be very interesting for you to hear those responses. How many responses would be similar? How many different ways is your brand perceived? Would there be any pleasant or unpleasant responses? You know where I'm going here. Now let's put that aside for a moment and talk about reputation. Now, reputation is defined as the beliefs or opinions that are generally held about someone or something. Yikes. If you give this just a few ounces of thought, that's pretty darn close to the definition of a brand. So here's the question. What exactly is the fundamental difference between brand and reputation? So here we go. We've already established that brand is defined as the thoughts that come to people's minds when they hear a company name or see its logo. All right, but those thoughts and impressions had to have come from somewhere. Typically, they come from a number of different sources, such as a person's prior experiences with the brand, what friends or colleagues say about the brand, impressions of the brand based on any sort of online research, such as its website or social media activity, or whether or not the person has ever heard of the brand. Now, if we go back to the definition of reputation, which was the beliefs and opinions that are generally held about someone or something, we can reasonably and confidently conclude that a brand earns a reputation based on the actions of its people, specifically how they conduct business with customers, as well as the quality of its products and service delivery. Brands live and die on the quality, character, and integrity of its people and what they produce. It's no wonder why so many CEOs are so focused on culture, because a crappy culture will kill a company. A healthy culture will grow a company. Now, Fortune magazine recently published a list of the world's most admired companies for 2019. I'm going to read off the top 10 on the list, and I'm going to pause a bit for each because, as I read them off, make a mental note of whether or not you have a positive, a negative, or a neutral perception of the brand. Here we go. Apple, Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, Disney, Starbucks, Microsoft, Alphabet, or the parent company of Google, Netflix, JP Morgan Chase & Company, FedEx. It probably came as no surprise to you that these were in the top 10. And it's no coincidence that they are not only the most admired by consumers, they are also some of the most highly desirable companies to work for and build a career. Question: do you believe these companies could have ascended to the top of such a prestigious list if any had a poor reputation? Another question: do you believe these companies could have ascended to the top of such a prestigious list if any had a poor culture? Now you may be thinking, that's all fine and dandy, Scott. What's your point? My point here is that there is a distinct fundamental difference between brand and reputation, which I hope I explained well. My other point is that there is a clear and direct connection between a brand's reputation and the health of its culture. You simply cannot earn an excellent reputation, which is a primary driver of business growth, if your people are not all aligned with your vision and adopt the same eagerness and determination to grow as the owner or CEO. I am amazed by people who still don't understand such a simple concept, primarily because we know so much more about brand and culture today than we did even 10 years ago. Through the internal questionnaires I do for companies, I still hear and read about dysfunctional cultures, revolving doors, poor leadership, and complaints that good people are hard to find. When I Google some of these companies, it's not ironic to see low Glassdoor.com ratings. Glassdoor.com is a site where people can rate and comment on their employer in different categories. A low Glassdoor rating repels good people. So here's what I would like you to do. Next time you send a survey or questionnaire to your clients, customers, or borrowers, and if you haven't done so for more than 12 months, do it very soon. I want you to ask questions to determine how they feel about and perceive your brand. Ask how they define your strengths and how they define your weaknesses. And as long as you're at it, send a questionnaire to your employees to acquire the same information. The way employees respond from their unique perspectives and roles at your company will be very eye-opening. Analyze each, compare the two side by side, note the similarities, note the differences. If you don't know what your brand and reputation is, this will provide a lot of clarity. Of course, if this is an area where you would like some guidance and assistance, contact us. We are in the business of building and rehabilitating brands with the goal of earning noble, noteworthy, and respectable reputations. My email is Scott, SCOTT, @Seroka, SEROKA.com. So until next time, you keep building and you keep perfecting your brand to earn the reputation you need to grow your business.